do work, I agree. Right, so this was sent in by one of Sarah's mates on the Facebooks. Oh no, I know, bunch of losers who go on Facebook. But yeah, let's have a look. Apparently it don't turn on. Apparently it doesn't turn on. Let's have a nose. So it doesn't turn on can mean absolutely freaking anything. They are absolutely right, it does not turn on. Alright, well, hopefully this is going to be fairly easy then. Now the question is, what could be the issue? We'll find out after this word from today's sponsor.
Today's video is sponsored by PCBWay. Whether you've got a simple project that requires a quick mod board or you want to launch your own products to the world, PCBWay can help. With fantastic pricing on multi-layer PCBs, flex PCBs, 3D printing and even laser cutting solutions, you're sure to get everything you need all in one place. Custom PCBs start from just $5 for a 1 to 2 layer board with a fast 24-hour build time and free shipping on orders over $30. PCBWay are also proud to announce their new aluminium PCBs which start at just $120 per square metre. Check out what PCBWay have to offer by clicking on the link in the video description or the top pinned comment and get your project started today. Thanks again to PCBWay for sponsoring the video. Let's get back to the repair.
This will probably make a video, so if you're watching it back as a video, I'm live streaming on Twitch right now. I am insane, but that's not the reason I'm talking to myself. I'm talking to myself because I'm live streaming, so I'll be replying to chat. But if you're new to the channel and you're watching it back as a video, there's a big red button that says subscribe. Please press it. Also check me out on Twitch. Twitch.tv/thecorroded2015. Links in the video description. Blah blah blah. All of that good stuff. And like the video now because you might not want to afterwards. You're talking to yourself, stop fibbing. No I'm not. Yes you am. No I'm not. Yes you are. See, now look. See, look what you just caused. Peeps. Right, so what can this be? It can be the power supply. But the most likely cause on this when there's no power is normally a bad south bridge. We'll try a new power. Well, we'll test the power supply, see if it's outputting 5 volts. If it's outputting 5 volts, then the chances are it's going to be the south bridge. Pop. Because normally if it's outputting 5 volts, it'll at least attempt to turn on. Oh, this is liquid damaged. They did not tell me that. This is liquid damaged. That would explain it. Let me get some gloves. I'm not touching that without gloves on. Now the question is, where the freaking hell are my gloves? Because I am a lazy mofo, I'm just going to go and grab another box. I'll nick Sarah's gloves that she uses for cleaning. Ha! Right, well, no matter what, this is going to need a clean. But I've got a feeling that it's not going to be the power supply. And I've got a feeling it's probably not going to be the south bridge either. That is absolutely disgusting. Look at that. It's been a while since I've worked on a liquid damaged PS4. It's not very often you get liquid damage in these. Could be cola. It could be. It looks more like coffee to me, to be honest. It's going to need a new disk drive ribbon. That's all corroded. That one seems okay. Let's just plug this in and see if we're getting 5 volts out on the power supply. Let's just have a look and see. So, voltage mode. We've got 4.8 volts, which is fine. A little bit of voltage drop, but that's okay. Let's just take a look at the board then. See how bad it is. It could actually be the south bridge because it doesn't look like we've got much liquid around the board. And the case itself is pretty gunked up and stuff, but other than that, it seems fine. Let's just give it a scan with the scope. Right, so yeah, it's pretty gunked up on the board, but it looks like most of that's going to be just around the ground plane. I'm going to scan for any obvious signs of damage quickly. Right, we've got some damage here, and that is that around the power connector. So that there is the power button connector and eject button connector, and we've got liquid damage directly underneath it. So if we're going to resistance mode, we're probably going to find open line. Open line. So if we was to give this 5 volts and short one end of this resistor to ground, we would probably find that it would work. But we're not going to do that. I am going to remove and replace. Stuff it. Get off my board. All of you, get off. Get off my board. All of you, get off my board. You are no longer welcome here. Comprende? Well, we actually have a very oxidized pad there. A very oxidized pad. Right, rule number 1 of liquid damage: you don't solder on top of corrosion. So I am going to wick all of this away. Even though it looks fine now, I'm going to wick it all away anyway because it's been liquid damaged in that area. So I want to wick it all away, clean it, and then re-tin everything. There we go. IPA time? Nah, not yet. It is, however, time for some replacement components. I'm probably going to need to, I'm going to need to find an SAF board. So this is a SAF 004, so I'm going to have to go and find a donor board to match. Right, the first one I pulled out my pile, winner winner, and there we go. Pull these components off one by one. Let's just clean this up and put some fresh flux down. And donor component time. Reflow. There we go. Right, there we go. What's my resistance on there now? 96k and increasing. So I'm assuming that's a 100k resistor. And same with that one. Resistance is going to be a bit different because the board's warm, but I'm getting 96k, which is, well, it appears to be a good reading. Right, let's continue with the inspection. At 2032 doesn't look great. Let's just test voltage on that. 3.10 volts. Yeah, that's fine. It can stay as it is then. Let's check around by USBs. Other than the board needing a bit of a clean, that's fine. Seems okay. So you don't generally get much liquid damage on these boards, to be honest. I mean, they are pretty well protected. So you get a bit, but yeah, the rest of that side seems absolutely fine. Let's have a look on this side. So, what about the connector? Power connector seems okay. Again, needs a clean, but ooh. Ooh. Right, is that just surface damage or is it actually damaged? It's actually damaged. Ah, lovely. Oh, I hate changing these connectors. I really do hate changing these connectors. I'm not going to change that until I get the console working. I'll give it a clean. I'm not going to replace it yet. If I get the console working, then yes, I will replace it. But if not, then I'm not going to waste a connector. I'll give it a clean just to make sure there's no corrosion shorting any pins out. But I'm really not bothered about the disk drive right now. Until I get the console working, I couldn't care less about the disk drive. Other than that, I'm not seeing anything else really that could really affect it. Or at least in terms of, you know, main power. So like just turning on. Not really seeing much else. I think the rest is fine. So yeah, it does need a connector. But the rest should be fine. Let's just check. Let's just check this. So if I go into continuity mode, so this is behind the south bridge. So the south bridge is directly on the other side of this, and all of these decoupling caps and coils are connected directly to it. So I'm connected to ground. Which side is ground on here? That side. So I'm connected to ground. And I'm not getting any shorts on these inductors here on the south bridge, which is usually indicative of a bad south bridge if you've got these coils here short. They're not short, so, or rather these inductors, sorry. So these inductors are not short, so it should be absolutely fine. So let's see if it powers on. Is it going to power on? That's the question. Are we going to have a win? No. No, we're not. Of course we're not. Why are we not going to power on? Because the ribbon's knackered. Ah, there we go. There we go. Is it going to get a white light? It's going to delay because there's no hard drive. So it's going to need to go through a reboot loop. There we go. So it's turning on. But unfortunately, we're going to need to find one of those. Something I'm probably not going to do tonight because I'll have to go through my old cases in the loft. I have got some, but at least we've got one there that we can use for testing. So now we're going to need to replace that connector. This isn't going to go back together tonight anyway because, to be honest, this board really does need an ultrasonic clean before it goes back in the housing. That disk drive is not going to work at all. Unfortunately, I don't have a ribbon cable either. Not to hand anyway. So it's going to need this ribbon cable replacing and that ribbon cable replacing, I think. But that's fine. They're cheap as chips. They really don't cost much. But it's got to be done. Well, yeah, this connector here needs replacing. So to get this connector off, I can remove it from the top because I don't care about melting it. But to get the other connector off, I'm going to need to remove it from underneath the board for the donor connector. It's just quicker to remove it like that and just completely destroy it. Let's clean that up. Okay, it's going to need a few components replacing as well on this side. So let's just get those off. And then I'm going to show you a little trick for cleaning this board up. So see how we've got all this sticky residue all over the place? Whatever the hell it is. Well, wick is good for two things. It's good for cleaning up solder, which I'm going to do in a minute. So I'm going to reach in all of these pads so I can wick them away. But it's also good for cleaning up the actual PCB because it acts as abrasive and really does give it a good scrub. So I'll just tin these. There we go. And then I'll take some solder braid. I normally like to use the cheap solder braid for this. I mean, this solder braid I'm using at the minute is MG Chemical Super Wick. Pretty expensive, but I haven't got any cheap stuff. I've got Goot Wick, but that's not really considered cheap. It's decent quality, but I may as well just use what I've got to hand. So if I just scrub over where we've got some of this residue, it might take a bit of the coating off the board, but it should also clean off a lot of this gunk. Although this is really caked on there pretty good, it might not. It's getting some of it off. In fact, it's got the majority of that off. Yeah, it's got a good amount of that gunk off there. It's not perfect. It's a lot better than it was. I bet that smells good. Oh, it smells a bit funky. Yeah, so it's got, for the most part, I mean, that's baked on there pretty good. I'll have to double check that trace, but anything that does get left, if it doesn't get picked up with the ultrasonic, the IPA will neutralise it. It'll neutralise the sugar in there. It's got in the holes. Yeah, it has got in the wires, yeah. But the IPA will neutralise anything that's left. If I just warm that up. By the way, to do this with wick, you do need to put flux on. Otherwise, you're just going to be ripping traces up. It is starting to take a bit of the conformal coating off the board. But honestly, I'm not bothered about that. Right, that seems okay. Yep, I'll take that. That looks a million times better. Yes, there's a little bit of coating being pulled away, but who cares? It's just conformal coating. It's not going to hurt anything. Let's just prep the area. Ready for the new components. Start with the connector. So we want this connector. So I'll remove my nozzle. I'm going to set the hot air at 480 degrees. And I'm going to heat up from the other side of the board. It comes to something when the donor board looks better than the board I'm working on, doesn't it? Dang it, I just knocked my components off. Yes, son of a... I also popcorn my donor board. Ha! I won't use this much heat on the board I'm working on. I'll put it at 480 just to make my life easier. So these caps here, I'm just placing down. What's that, D-Lam? Yeah, it's on my donor board though, so it doesn't matter. It is fine. Right, so there's my components. So the components are in place. Damn it, will you just sit down? Hey, get in line. There you go. Right, so if I set my hot air at 440 now, 40% airflow, and heat up from the bottom. So I've dropped my airflow down because these boards are thin. I only use 480 on the donor board because I don't care about it. There's nothing underneath that I care about. So I don't mind doing it quicker. You're going to see these start to jump into place. There we go, just like that. And there we go. The one thing I don't have to hand right now is a disk drive to take the ribbons from. So I can't test the disk drive tonight. What I will do is I'll sort one out in the morning because I can't go in my loft now and get a disk drive. So what I will do is I'll sort one out in the morning and I'll just record testing the disk drive. But it is what it is at the minute. So that connector's done. It looks solid. So we've got some nice solid contacts there. Beautiful. So yeah, I mean everything else should be fine. The only other liquid damage on this is around the ground plane. So I'm not expecting to run into any other issues. I need to replace the power button. So I have got some of these brand new somewhere. I don't know about the ribbons, but I have got some housings which I can take one from. This one I can't use. I'm just using this out of another console, but I have got some, so that needs replacing. The board needs ultrasonic cleaning. That ribbon cable and this ribbon cable and probably that one is going to need replacing. I'm just hoping it doesn't need an entire disk drive. So yeah, you can see inside that connector is pretty badly corroded. Yes, you probably could clean that out and get it working, but it's just not worth sitting there for 20 minutes trying to clean out all of the corrosion in there. Actually, it might be. Might not be as bad as I thought. Yeah, that might be alright. But then again, it's all corroded around the pins as well. And rule number one of liquid damage repair is do not solder on top of corrosion. So that connector would have to come off to be able to resolder them pins. And you can't leave it like it because the corrosion will just eat away at the PCB over time. You see how bad those solder joints are? So it's probably not worth saving, if I'm being honest. Yeah, I don't think it's worth saving. It probably would work, but over time that would fail. That would result in a failure over time. It's really not worth saving that at all. Maybe to use as a test board, but for the price of them, I think they cost like what? About £5, if even that. So maybe to use as a test board, but no, not to use as production board sort of thing. Just not worth it. Not worth the risk. For the price of it, it's not worth the risk. HDMI. Do we get signals? Using the console fix.shop tester. We do. Good stuff. So that's going to flash on a PS4 because it's got HDCP. So it flashes on a PS4 because it can't actually display. That's just perfectly normal. So it'll just keep flickering the display on and off, on and off, on and off, because it doesn't recognise it as a TV. But, and it's a big but, and I cannot lie, and these other brothers can't deny. Right. Ugly cam. Well, it can't start the PS4 because we started it in safe mode. Right, that is going to be it for now. I'll finish this up on a video. The main thing is it's turning on, it's booting, albeit to safe mode, but I'm not finding a hard drive out tonight. And with that, we go into super fast fix-it mode. So here I'm just replacing the ribbon cables in the disk drive, giving the disk drive a basic service, making sure everything's clean, checking everything over and making sure there's no liquid damage. And then obviously I needed to strip down the rest of the console, clean out the housing, clean out the fan and clean out the power supply as well, before obviously putting everything back together to make sure that it all worked fine. But then as you can see, I also had to reinstall the system software on top of that. So I tested everything, made sure that it all worked, made sure the internet worked, made sure that Ethernet worked as well, and then made sure it installed a disk and also tested the USB ports as well. So obviously this got a full test. I made sure it loaded the game. Everything seemed absolutely fine, no issues whatsoever. So it ran my disk absolutely fine and I could put it all back together and everything appeared to be working absolutely fine. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you learned something from it. Obviously we don't see liquid damage on a PS4 Slim very often, but when we do, it doesn't really affect most of the board because it's pretty well protected by the metal chassis and the rest of the housing. So quite lucky on this one really. If you are new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe and turn on the bell notifications. Don't forget to give the video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. And also don't forget to check out some of the other repairs which I've done on PS4 Slims. It is nice to get these once in a while. I do get a little bit bored with working on PS5s and stuff, but you know, it's nice to get a change of pace. And as these consoles are getting older, people don't seem to be sending them in as often, but you know, I enjoy it and this one was successful. The customer was happy. It cost him £60 for this, in case you're wondering. I reduced the price because obviously it wouldn't have been economically viable, and by the time I'd actually repaired it, I'd already done the work, so I couldn't exactly just say, no, let's just not fix it, it's not worth it. It sucked, but it is what it is. But anyway, thank you very much for watching. I really do appreciate it. Hope you enjoyed it, and until next time, I'll see you later. Bye for now.